Can I?
Pick me when you need me.
Oh shit! Why did that scare me? No! Oh, I jumped a little bit. That's pathetic.
Hey. Okay. Oh shit. Oh shit. All right, joke's on you. I'm into this. Reboot. Reboot. Remember that reference? Yeah, I knew you would, buddy. Joey.
You never know. Someone out there remembers you for being nice to them on a bad day.
It was like 18 gigs for me, I think, on my PlayStation.
Blake,
Something crazy like that.
Prepared or even a simple bypass and on your man.
If any of you take on any damage, get back to me ASAP, and I'll help you out.
Brother!
I'm not carrying any dead bodies back.
I have the recessive genes.
I'm locked, loaded, and ready to make
Guys,
shit
I just need a second or a couple
Black
minutes.
face, from inside box, scent of mommy, maybe true mother there. Stone box hard, it hurt, steel rope in the way. Can't see mother because 4 stones. Yeah, not only is like half my friends' grammar bad, they also don't use punctuation. So I feel like I have to read their text like this sometimes, not naming names. Still would. Oh god.
Okay, alright. Yeah, right. Hello, I got my face. Crumpets. These are scones.
How many are there?
Well, I'm American. It's biscuits.
Overnight. That looks cool. Want to watch it with me awkwardly until the comedy comes in? No, I'll probably have my penis in my hand. Thanks for really offer though. Fuck was not on your side tonight? No, it was not. Neither was skill. It fucking sucked today. Who's live? We got Milby Montana playing Silent Hill 2. We got London Loves playing Pummel Party. You got Pig Madison playing Quiet Pace. We got Super Sleepy playing GTA 3. I use a voice changer to hide my identity. He's just like Ghostface. What's your favorite position?
Alpha team is flying around the forest, situated in...
Am I going the right way? Wait, no. No, I can't go up. Why can't I look up and go there? I'm trying. Don't you dare. Don't you dare fail me, game. Don't you fucking dare fail me. This is on you, not me. Fuck!
Wait, what the fuck are you talking about?
Fucking bitch. I like to open it and check. I'm a bit creeped out. But why? This again.
Oh, so we got drunk can. Nice.
Who is it?
Pretty good.
Bitch, who is he?
That's your food belt.
Hey. You're really sus.
That could
Sussy
be-
baka. I got my underwear in there. Bitch, I'm about to take your underwear off. I'm gonna open the fucking... Why won't you?
I'm almost ready. I accidentally fucked something up and I'm fixing it real quick.
But this game is less Sean Connery and more, hello, baby. I'll make you Randy.
I'm on a roof full of multi-billion and beta points. Must be worth hundreds of millions.
That makes me a little less anxious about signing him up to look after.
It is Ulysses.
I'm skeptical of anyone that OCP.
Shit, look, a distraction. Where?
First Becker, then Washington. And let's not forget about Dr. Blanche. Speaking of which, Dr. Blanche, is she being helpful?
I stubbed my toe. In my pants. Chat, look, butthole's out.
Where? Don't touch me. Oh, fuck. What? What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Saw nothing. I meant to do that. I'm not sure if he does, but I'm trying to get later prints. No, I did not. No, I did not.
Where is it? Where is it?
Alright. Did I break the TV?
Fuck what I accidentally fucked. It is unfucked. It has been defucked. I am not. I'm sleepy. It's okay. I'm sleepy too. Put the panties away and start the stream. It was a thong. Thank you very much. Good. LOL. I took a warehouse job because I want more money and I work at 2 a.m. soon. Oh, you did nice. Let's go to bed. Yala. Hey, what up, ASAP? How you doing? Are you forklift certified now? No, kind of pissed I'm not. Oh, I thought you could finally help your mom out. Damn. Dude, that was good. Holy shit. I had my remote. That's perfect, dude. Yeah, I gotta take notes when you guys talk shit sometimes, you know? How's everybody doing today? Jesus. As always, you don't have to, but thank you, bud. That kind of sucks right now. Does it really? Does it really? Oh. Which fixture mic? Which? Bitch. How about now? Does it sound a bit better? Oh, actually, wait. I think I know what the issue might be. Let me double check something. That's better. Maybe that's your voice. Something sounds bad. No. So I accidentally, one of the things I fucked was my Stream Deck settings. So I actually think my mic was too high. Did I sound like a 8-year-old in Xbox Live? You know, talking about like the hey guys, how bad was that? Nice. Yeah. All right. Cool. Tight. Move this over. Cool. More Onimusha. Breathe in the mic for full effect. Here's my ASMR. The old username retired now? Sleepyhead 029? Probably. It should be hypersexual harpy 2001. Let's do this. I think it launched. Yep. Me? You fucked me? Wait, no, never mind. That was in a dream. Suck you, bust. 69. Try hard 10. Wait, what is it? Thanks. Try hard 100. Nice. Thank you for the biddies. I'm gonna go right towards I don't know, my electric bill. Or Onimusha 5 when that comes out. Aww. Thanks. Take my money. I'll take it. It'll go in the Onimusha Way the Sword Fund. Thanks, man. I'm not gonna cry. Damn. Nice. Thank you, Paul, for the 1 biddy. Nah, I just forget to change back. Or, tell you what. Tight. I love that one. You should sign in as Can also, so I can get 2 views.
Tight, yeah!
I like when he does that part. Oh shit. What was I doing? Dang, 2 hours and I saved 19 times. Alright, I think I got the blue key or some shit. I remember seeing that. I'm retarded?
I'm retarded?
Oh, god damn it. Cry, I want to taste your tears. Tastes like tahini. You sprinkled my tears all over your mangoes and shit. I don't remember where that blue door is, though. And I don't know why, when I read your line just now, I really wanted to read it like Pinhead. Not Pinhead. Yeah, Pinhead. He would say it. Like, please, no tears. It's a waste of good suffering. You know, that kind of shit. Which, I can't wait to play that game. That game looks awesome. Oh, what the fuck? How do I block that? Can I block that? Hey! Ass wipe. Turn this up. Stay dead, please. Yeah, I don't know where to go. Oh, could it be the blue door? Play something woke like Tomb Raider.
Like Tomb Raider.
Oh, nice. That's funny. Is Paul here? Not Paul, Jay. He would totally take that bait. Masturbator for real, no cap. You are, aren't you? Who's a little masturbator? You are. Save again, even though I just didn't do shit. Jay's on VC. He says he doesn't watch his stream because he doesn't want Twitch to go full DEI. Nice. Yeah, my stream is woke. There's a brown guy in it. Alright. Yay! Okay. Boss fight?
We meet again, Samanosuke.
Oh shit, it might be actually.
Still no interest in coming to work for the Oda clan?
Got a black man playing an Asian man. This country's cooked.
Tried my best to help you.
Right? And they're voiced by white men. Oh.
The true power of the demons. The time has come, demons.
Actually, yeah, these are white dudes doing like Asian accents, so I think it evens back out. Oh my god. Wait, what's wrong with the... Okay, that sounds better.
Now you must suffer.
My earbuds weren't put in all the way, so I sounded like a little staticky. Well, it's all the way in.
I am sure by now, Kaede is in trouble.
I only go in.
Samanosuke, did you find anything?
Never pull up. Hi, Kaede.
What are you doing? Let go of me!
Kaede, no! It sucks. Wait, what sucks? I need more detail. Need some more information. Oh, the audio?
You are not experienced enough, are you?
Yeah, actually, is it? I kind of rely on you guys to let me know. The audio sounds like normal. Okay, then I'll just ignore Ken. Thanks, Ezio. Yume Maru? She got cramps now? And she got punched in the ovaries, that's why. Right in the uterus. Alright, now let me get the camera to clip in. Lock in, chat. Oh, wait. She got jiggle physics. Nice. Nice. Also, look at that. Look at that thigh tattoo. This whore. A girl with cramps in my game, 0 out of 10. She needs chocolate. The voice acting? Oh yeah, the voice acting is not great. Alright, I guess they went this way. No, they went this way, I think. When she grabbed the boy. But this is a dead end. So alright, I'll go the only way I can. Because in the cutscene she pulled Kamehameha, or whatever the fuck his name is.
What happened?
Let's go, chat, Lurkin. Enjoy that booty on screen. Oh, I will. Thanks, Zara. Appreciate you.
From West Prison.
Zara, you a real one. I wasn't paying attention. Red key. Let me check the... Wait. No. Fuck. Oh yeah, I guess I do gotta go that way. I like your music, Zara Larson. Oh, thank you for the bits, man. I feel like you can like accidentally trigger a hype train or something. Do it! Where the fuck do I go? They like me. They really like me. Oh shit. Oh, it's actually pointless for me to do this with her because she doesn't absorb souls like someone else does. Thank you for the biddies, guys. You know how to make a girl feel special. I'm going the completely wrong direction. Do I have to go back outside? Because this won't let me through. It's got the purple tumors on it. It's not a tumor. 100. Yeah, thank you for the hundreds. How much did you guys donate? It's a lot to count, and I'm stupid. There's this door. Oh, actually, yeah, this is it. Oh, never mind. This is not it. Oh, I see where to go. Hey, day. Hi. What's it? I know her name. It's not Emily. What's her name in the emote? She annoys the hell out of me. Not Emily, is it? Right in the back. You motherfucker! Oh! Do it! Oh. Actually, it might even tell me if I hover. Let me see. Nope, I don't know. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the emotes. I just like to run a hype train on Joey. Oh, nice. How did I miss that? You're gonna have to take a number, bub. Yeah, dude, I think this music might be better than the OG. That's funny. For some reason on my Mix It Up, it looks. Oh, it's my curved monitor. It looks a little stretched. He looks like he's got that. What's that condition that the Zika babies get? You. Let me get one of those like wooden clapper things too, so I can do that. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Put me down. Oh, don't be dumb, Joey. I mean, that's a big ass, but cool. Type shit. Oh, that worked. Cannot go in there. Samanosuke. Oh, I don't know. It's over here. I don't know. Let's go down. See what's down there. This is where that... Oh, shit. You scared the shit out of me, bro. He won't speak to you. Fine. Speak to the first and second old Mothman. Was that really worth a trophy? I mean, I'm not complaining. Gun, demons. No. Oh, that was easy. Alright, let me get down there. I heard that sigh of relief. That means he gave me something. What are you giving me? Soul absorber? Aw, shit. Enhances your vitality. Kaida, can I use this? Well, fuck you. This guy. Hey, what up, B90? How you doing, man? I feel like this is... Honestly, this is like a pretty good AI upscale. Like, I know. But Capcom did such a shitty job at upscaling this themselves. Like the backgrounds. Oh, shit. Is this me, or is your camera looking extra crisp? Oh, it's the camera. Homeboy Kevin, he gave me all of his old streaming shit. So it was like a pretty substantial upgrade for me. And I'm so appreciative. It was so nice of him. Now I have a big boy stream. Just saw the painting video of Tyrone, some dope shit. Oh, thanks, your boy. You saw that? Oh, shit. Also, welcome in, your boy. How much dick you sucking for that? Let's just say my jaw will never be the same. Oh shit! I dodged right into all the dick. Yeah, I'm sucking it right now. This is a pre-recorded video to hide. I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't know where I was going with that. I follow you on YouTube. Nice. I think I follow you too. Fuck! Oh, this might kill me. Kaida, no! Oh shit, dude, bruh. Oh! Oh my god. Why did I back up? Because I wanted to see what was in that door up there, which might be locked. I think you mean AI generated video. Yeah. Or it's an Instagram filter to where it takes someone who's sucking dick and makes it look like they're not sucking dick. Nice, nice. The map, Scott. This is a video for the court to show how they fucked you, right? But what are you guys up to tonight? Shinobi kit. Oh, then this is where I have to go, I think, right? Because I'm not done exploring. You ever get that feeling? You're like, oh, I gotta go the wrong way so I can get everything. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the objective. So let's go. About to play a little Hunt Showdown and go to bed. Nice. Used to play that with Deadwolf, right? I think Bloody Kotex played that too. Nope. Oh, never mind. Same shit. Same bullshit, different day. Alright, demon spawn. Oh. Alright, well, what's in this one? Oh, more. More. More! A serious location where the ogres gather. I don't know. Dimensions between times? Let's try that. I'll take a picture of this so I don't have to read it. I'm gonna guess they got banished to the dimensions between time. And I need those symbols. I've been playing some Dark Tide. Yeah, I was actually lurking your stream earlier. Good shit. Dimension. Nope, that's not between. Oh. No, that's not right. It's almost right. That bottom symbol is different. It should be like the... I mean, I'll do it. And then time. Yeah. I'll go down the list. I don't give a fuck. So there's dimensions. Oh, that's also not that's dimensions. Bruh. Sorry. I did the wrong one. This actually might work. Alright, never mind. I need more files. Fine. I'm playing with my friend John. You might have heard him talk if you were lurking. We just kept arguing the whole time. Yeah, I did hear some banter. The game's pretty cool. I played it like twice. And then Lemon bought it for me on Steam. Wooden gear. Oh. Gold and silver panels. This really is just Resident Evil. I've been playing some asshole named John too. Is it 2-player? Is this right? Oh shit. Die! Sit, sit, Damn. Looks like I can't absorb any of your souls. You can play the asshole? It's my secret cap. I'm always the asshole. Oh damn! No, I gotta put the gear in there. Ad break. Journal 5. At last, I saw the world of the gods. I caught a glimpse of the demon world beyond the evil gate. The colors were truly astounding. No multitude of pigment could enable me to accurately paint what I saw. But I do not understand one thing. The evil gate is now shut. Is the world of gods refusing me? With this fatally wounded body, I cannot open the gate or escape this cave alive. But I want to see it again. I want to peer beyond the gate just one more time. Samir! Suzaku. The Gauntlet of Ogres, created to defeat the demons. Gauntlet, whatever demon supplying with power energy. Motherfucker. Do I have to go back still to that one thing? I'll do it as a Samonosuke. Silver plate. Oh, hell yeah. Byako! When the powers of the demons are restored, the Ogre clan will gather in the Chasm of Dimensions. Oh. Oh, then, wait, where were they banished to then? I think I got that wrong. Clan of Ogres subverted by the demon is granted. Yeah. Created. Dimension between times. We'll deliberate their plan. That's not what they were sent to, though. I'll find it. I saw the pigments of the colors of hell, and they were primary. Back to that. It was just, dude, I still think about that too. Just how tilted fucking Jay got. Oh, there's more. Kaede does get a better weapon, and she might... I don't think she gets like a soul gauntlet or anything like that, but I know that the chick in 3 gets like that bracelet. I'm gonna save here because I'm gonna backtrack and I don't feel like dying. Map. Actually, I can't. It won't let me backtrack that way. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Whack. Because there's one of those like gooey locks on it that she can't open, but Samonosuke can. Which means I can't even backtrack as her, which is crazy. Oh damn. Ah, that's hot. Ah, that's hot. Oh shit. Oh boy. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. Ah, I made it. Bitch. Got the gold plate. Fuck that guy. Wait, who? Oh, what up, Dry? Sorry, I thought you were Paul. Welcome in, Dry. How was you? John. Yeah. I thought. Yeah. I heard he fuck your wife behind your back, then he fuck you behind your wife's back too. I don't know. John sounds like a Chad. Ah! I made it. Okay. It sucks compared to someone else. Okay. No magic. Can't absorb anything. Yeah, I'm just pressing square, but combat does still feel a little... Whoa, I thought there was a demon around the corner. This feels pretty alright. Oh shit, I sleep naked, ass up at night. I hope he doesn't sneak in and take advantage. That's how I read that. Oh no. He doesn't like him because he said Vermintide was shit. Oh, Vermintide's awesome. And Darktide's good too. I think I prefer Darktide, but I like them both. Fuck you. Yeah, let's try this one again. Serious location of the ogres where they gather. Yeah, I can't read. We'll gather in the chasm. Oh, is that part of it? The chasm of dimensions between times? Let me see. Chasm of dimensions between. Can I do more? No, that's it. Chasm of time? Oh, that was wrong. Chasm of this one. Yay! Darktide over Vermintide? I think I agree. Just having it being, you know, more gun emphasis. Oh shit! That actually scared me. Fuck. Oh shit. Shit. Fuck. That was a nightmare. Let's go this way. Yeah, this is where it came from, right? Yeah. Yeah, Shay. And then what's over here? No, I don't want to go down. Or do I? I don't, because I think that's where I have to go. 10 Vermintide. Oh, okay. Darktide's less than Vermintide, which is less than your mom. Fair. My mom doesn't have as good graphics, nor a sci-fi setting. My mother does not take place in the Warhammer 40k universe, so she's got that against her. They just speak ill of my mom. Oh, they're talking to each other. They're talking to me. Let's go. Your mom is more of like a Warhammer 69 kind of gal. Didn't speak ill of her. I like Vermintide, so that means I love your mom. Oh, you know what? Yeah. He just ordered it differently. That's not saying much. My mom isn't worth that much. I'm gonna tell your mom. You said that. I should heal. I'd buy that for $1. She's probably not worth that much either, to be honest. Go ahead, I've already told you that. Nice. Trick treasure box? Oh, these are annoying. Alright. Lock in, Joey. Fuck. Alright, hold on. Fuck. Oh, actually? Boom! Hack my pussy. Hey, what up, Travi? Nice. I just got your sacred knife out of your pussy. How'd you get that in there? How'd you get that in there? Can I? No, I can't absorb soul still. As far as video game baddies go, dude, nobody ever talks about Kaede. Would. Oh, and then I think I save this way. Oh shit, I mean to push that button. Ah, the controls aren't great. Because I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a boss down there. I'm gonna save. What are you up to, Travi? Let me check something. Fuck. That's funny. Ooh, 25. Nice. Sorry. Playing Gunnerblade and jacking off. Pixar didn't happen. Pix, it is 2026. You better show us. I want 4K, 60 frames at least. You!
Wait a moment. I will help you out.
You are Kaede?
Kaede?
Sanosuke once wrote to me that he journeys with a female ninja, Kaede.
So, you are...
If only I could leave the castle and see the world with Samanosuke.
Princess Yuki.
I envy you.
Nice.
You can go.
We all got 16,000 views. How the fuck that happened? Wait, how the fuck did that happen? What hit her?
Forget about me. Escape from this castle with Samanosuke.
Do not give up, Your Highness. I will save you.
No, you won't.
Oh, it's Guildenstern or whatever.
You can die here alone.
Ooh, a liver!
Princess Yuki! Princess Yuki!
Okay. Oh shit. You don't throw shit at me? Motherfucker, I throw shit at you! Oh, I can see your footsies. No. Ooh. Ooh. Nice. What's Jay? He's missing out on some prime samurai action.
Have to tell him.
Excuse me. Oh, it's cool armor. I never really got a good look at it. Like, I didn't realize he has like that cool etching on it. Yuki. Oh, Gauntlet, how I missed you. I'm gonna save it only because I saw there. I think it was lightning, but I forgot what element required 3. And I mean, it's not an awful idea to grind a bit. Samanosuke. Oh. Jeez. Remember this. You got the crazy eyes. They did a good job at that. Peter, let me spam my magic. Whoa, whoa. Hey, Thora, thank you for the raid, brother. That was the Hunt Showdown. That must have been brief. Oh, it's Z's. Oh, you guys are funny. Wait. I can use my magic. Yo, chat. What up, Z's? How you guys doing today? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a... I'm gonna bring back Swell. I hope you guys are doing swell today. I'm fighting my Shadow Clone Jutsu! What button do I hit? Monster! Very riveting combat here. Ah! Okay. Oh shit, nice. Oh, wait, I can kick? How do I kick? We were playing some Dead by Daylight against Jason. Oh, how's the Jason DLC? I saw that they added him because it's based off of the new Jason universe design, which is cool. He's a little scrawny for my taste, but I'm just excited that Jason's back in a legal sense. Finally, goddamn. Oh my god, everyone is playing him. Is he good? Did you guys ever play that Friday the 13th game? I thought that one was neat. I appreciated it for what it was. But I only played it a couple times. And I escaped the second time. Yo, what's up, chat? What's up, Zara? How you doing? That's for both of you guys, okay? That burp was for me. I think it's Jason because I think it's only that Jason because of copyright issues. That is 100% correct. There was a legal dispute between who actually owned Jason, Sean Cunningham or the writer. And the writer says he came up with everything, but then Sean Cunningham, who's the director of the first one, he's like, or second one, whichever one. He's like, no, dude, you're a work for hire. I own what you wrote, basically. And I don't know. I actually think they favored it with the writer. But in any case, Jason's back. Just chilling, ready to blaze and relax. Nice. See, for me, it's more like a smolder than a blaze. Like, I take one hit and I'm like, turn into Simple Jack. Oh, nice. Yuki-sama. It's crazy. No, it's true. I think I wish. Oh, are you saying it's crazy that I have like 0 tolerance? That's why I like the vape. It's a lot more mild. I go through 2 ounces a month. Dude, I've had the same like quarter for like 2 months. Wait, can I backtrack? Fuck, I didn't even do that. Oh, I do have to go forward. Okay, okay. All right. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, Aziz is the same way. I hate you. Oh, just like no tolerance and like I hit and I'm fine for like hours. She can take 1 hit off a vape and be good for hours. Yeah, that's why sometimes you'll see me here puffing on that. And the reason you haven't been seeing me do that is because 2 weeks ago I had a pretty fucked up sinus infection. It's like I was just coughing. Whizzing. Cool. I have a G waiting for me to smoke, just sitting there. Do you ever go to take a hit of your vape, but then realize it's a dick? All the time. I'll just turn into Simple Jack when I smoke. I look at the joy and say, you make me happy. you. In my mind movies, or whatever he says. Why you gotta make me feel bad? Wait, what'd you say? Monsters emerge one after another. They look like the monsters drawn on a scroll I saw in the Capitol. I wonder if the 4 guardian statues in the Capitol were erected to keep them away. I believe those same statues are somewhere in this castle. I look at Z's and I be like, you make me so happy. I love you so much. Nah. I love Tropic Thunder. Dude, it's a great movie. That is a great fucking movie. I forgot what I had on. It's Star Wars. You are the man who was... No, never mind. You don't seem evil. I saw a shining stone around the sealed northern gate. It seemed strange, so I threw it away. Did it have some connection to the monsters? My friend went to the prison. I hope he's alright. Probably not. Ooh. Just what I was looking for. I'm more vocally affectionate when I'm high, lol. Dude, I go like full non-verbal sometimes. Like there was one instance where it's the big bug bugine. It's bug pussy. Hold on, you guys are in for a treat. Might be one of the best movies of all time. I think it is. I think it's absolutely one of the best comedies of all time. Oh no, they... Fuck, I actually remember we were kind of stuck in here. Yumimaru!
Beyond this gate lies
That's pretty metal.
demon world. It's over. You will never be able to save Yumimaru.
I would consider it more than just the best comedy of all time. It has so many elements to it. I mean, it's not one of the best action movies of all time. Still would. I can save her. A man of taste. Honestly, I'm more of a Kaede guy, but... Hear me out.
We have to destroy that stone.
Oh, you're playing 7 Days to Die as well? Wait, what do I do? Find a way to break through this as soon as possible. Okay. We're trying to. What's wrong? What's stopping you? Yugi! We got the front door. I'll try to block that. And you, motherfucker. Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, cool. Oh, I can't block that. Ah, dick. Excuse me. The Bugacy. Wait, multiplayer from 1995. I'm more of a how desperate is she guy. The Bugacy, make sure to use raid to lube her up. Dude, I don't want my dick anywhere near raid. But you're right, we need to figure some way to get past that carapace. That carapussy. Stupid. Oh, these things. You right, buddy? I saw monster with a huge axe around the northern gate. I tried to make it an ammunition warehouse at the back of the east garden, but to defeat it. But what? So the east garden? Hold on. Huge axe around the northern gate. I tried to make it to an ammunition warehouse at the back of the east garden to defeat it. So I gotta go this way to get the ammunition. Where is the northern gate? To the north, I'm guessing. When you playing more Shaolin Monks? Tomorrow. That's gonna be a Thursday thing, assuming my friend's available. You like that stream? Nice. Tell him if you were my friend, you'd always be available to guilt trip him. It doesn't take much to guilt trip me. Where was the doodad? Was it over here? Oh, got that one. Got that one. I've been through here. As a Kaide. There was another puzzle. I'm trying to remember where it was. Oh, I know where it's at. Talks about the gauntlet. That's the one I need. Okay, yeah. Let me save. Anything Mortal Kombat? I finish up 11 recently. Yeah, I saw you were streaming that. Good shit. I thought that was MK1. It was 11? Nice. I think I'm torn still. I think 9 and I keep wanting to say 10, but I guess X is the official name of it. Those are my favorites. And 11's gorgeous. MK1 is gorgeous too. I just hate the cameo system. The game relied a little too heavily on that. Okay, I heard some. Right in the butt. I need to do X and 1. Nice. Honestly, I'm still very interested in doing the campaign or story mode streams. Okay. Good. That's funny that roly-poly just saved my life. Yeah, because I think... Oh. Fuck. I get a little too bloodthirsty, but I know where I need to go. Spawning, motherfuckers? It's over here. I'm pretty sure there's a puzzle down here. I wasn't playing Tekken 7 through the story as well as its super anime. What do you mean by super anime? What is a super anime? There it is. Alright, let's see. Name of the relic created by the clan of ogres. Okay. Yako! Weapon of the demons are restored. And the powers of the demons are restored. The clan of ogres subverted by the demons granted a man the power. Fuck, I still might not have enough. The gauntlet of ogres. Yeah, that's gotta be it. Let's see. The gauntlet of ogres. Yeah, boy. Heihachi was using the two doors as shields from bullets. Then someone fired a rocket and he roundhouse kicked it out of the way. Yeah, but what's a super anime? Or was that a typo? Motherfucker, sit still. Honestly, I should actually enhance my herb to be my medicine with the way I'm playing. Yeah. Damn, that was actually a lot though. No, don't. I'm saying the game is super anime. Oh, as well, it's super anime. I see what you're saying, sorry. I thought you were saying you were getting through the story as well as it's anime. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down now. Sorry. Are you using text to speech still? I mean speech to text? Do you know the lore and story? Not of 7, please no spoilers. 7 and 8 are because 8's the latest one, right? I don't know those that well. Earth bullets. I get a gun? I think Kaede gets a rifle, right? Or do I? West area map. Can I open that? Hello, Governor. Angel! I meant in general about lore of Tekken. Yeah, Tekken's actually, despite not playing the last 2 games, it's like one of my favorite fighting franchises. It's always been that and Mortal Kombat for me. What up, Angel? How was you? How you doing? How's your day? You played Onimusha before, right? It is this. Oh, I can't open that door yet, though. Damn it! Will I mark it on the? Oh, I can. Oh, an old fashioned. Pretty good day. It just ended it with a Sonic Sunday. Nice. Oh, it's not high enough. Damn it. All right, I'll be back. And yes, hello, Onimusha. I'm so excited for the new one, dude. Fucking bitch. Puta. Yeah. Same days any day now, I'm sure. September, I think. What's your big 3 of fighting games? Mine is Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur. That's mine. Literally the same. If we're talking about order, I would say Mortal Kombat, Tekken, then Soul Calibur, but those are my top 3. Same Z's. Fist bump. All right. Good day. Angels in chat. Yeah, September will be here quicker than we know. Yeah. You got any, like, plans for the end of September? Asking for reasons. Nice. Not yet. It's honorable mention for Virtua Fighter. I've never actually played any Virtua Fighter game. That's a series that is lost on me. I just... Like, I played more Dead or Alive than I did Virtua. And I don't even really... I suck at Dead or Alive. Oh yeah, there's a new Virtua Fighter coming out. Looks interesting. I like it because it looks different, you know? My birthday's in September. You're finally going to run rounds of Predator hunting grounds with me? We'll see. I don't want to play that game. When's your triumphant return to streaming? This is a good question. Oh shit. Hold on. I pressed A too fast. First of all, I heard that Lord Yoshisatsu's treasures are hidden behind the waterfall in the Eastern Garden. There's an indent here where you can set something. The inscription on the pedestal reads, "The ceremonial blade of the castle lord has the power to reveal his path. I've created a spare blade and concealed it near a sealed gate in the northern part of the keep." That's kind of life in right now, but soon... I can't wait. Let me know so I don't miss it. I'm gonna have Angels Back to Streaming party. Been saving RE9 for stream. RE9's so fucking good. fact, I should be playing that. Oh, this one. So the Northern Keep. All right. How do? Let me enhance some shit though, actually. Is it this one or the other one? It's this one. Whoa, bruh.
Hey, do not be afraid. I have information.
I'm avoiding spoilers like the plague. Oh wait, I thought you beat it.
Hey, won't you go to the Dark Realm? There is no guarantee you will live, but if you do, great rewards await you.
Do I have to go right now?
Okay.
Give me a second.
See you soon.
Can I call you back, or did I just miss my chance to go there? Because I wanted to get all this ready and then enhance some shit first. Dude, I don't know why I thought you'd already played it. Jeez, I'm stuttering. I'd been sending you spoilers. Oh, the Leon and Grace and the whoa, 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 whoa. All right, I'm gonna leave and come back, and then hopefully I can skedaddle. Come back. There we go.
Oh, you have come again. Hey, why don't you go to the Dark Realm?
Sure.
They say
It's not a spoiler if I don't understand it, lol. Ah, well, I'll stop sending you stuff. Because I think I was sending you spoiler stuff.
I will take you. I hope you come back alive.
Went over my head if you did. Okay, that's good. It's probably stuff where it's like you'll get to that in the game and then you'll be like, oh. That's what they were referring to. God damn, this fucking... It's like lag when the camera angle changes. Deeper in? Yep. Right? What are you up to now, though? You just enjoying your Sunday? It's fucking still. Yep, been watching your stream. Yay! I'm glad you had a good day. Damn, I got fucking reach. Oh, shit. Health. I would like some health. How deep does this rabbit hole go? Oh, shit. What's that do again? God damn. What time is it? I could, in theory, finish this game tonight. It'll probably be like Friday. Tomorrow's gonna be more, Shadow Monks. You didn't tell Angel about the D virus, did you? I talked about the V virus, and I said I wanted to give Remake Jill my P virus, but no, I'm not aware of any D virus here. Yo! You can enlighten her if you'd like. I too would like to inquire more about this D virus. Bitches. Oh, I was supposed to stab you. It's the only weapon that gives me trouble when I try to do that. Down here. Leave me. Get down here. Damn it, that should have been Eason. Too soon, Junior. Oh, where's it going? Oh, they're in the trash compactor. Listen, hell yeah, I like that. Oh. No. This is a good weapon, but it's pissing me off because any movement prior and then you will. Oh shit. To keep swiping instead of doing the finisher attack. It wasn't that bad though. Whoop. Oh. Oh my god. Alright, time to use that medicine. Oh boy. Leave me alone. Leave someone else alone. First half of the Dark Realm? That's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but what does fluorite do? Oh my god. More medicine? Soul absorber. I'm almost out of medicine. No. Is it gonna fill it? I think it will. Yeah. I'll wait to get like save state. Because to get back down here, I'm gonna have to like, you know, do it all again. Hi, all of you. Oh, nice. Edison? First bullets. I might come back to the Dark World. I'm scared. Sama. Uh-oh. Got him. Talisman. Ooh, what did that do? Oh shit! You have your vitality if fatally wounded. Automatically. Oh dude, I got a free life, which I might use like today, now. Should I keep it going? Yeah, probably. Oh shit. Fuck. Okay, I missed. Fuck with me. Got him. Man, I have no medicine left. I just have an herb. But I do have the thing that'll resurrect me, but I could always come back to this, you know? Which I should do. I'll come back. I'll come back after I kill the big bug begin. Actually, I could go back now, technically. Okay. Huh. Save, and I'll be back. Oh shit. I think. Yo. Oh, I need that weapon out. Hey, what was in here? Oh yeah, I need to break that. Did I get any cool items? I have to go get weapons and shit. Yeah, these are already used. Alright. Oh, we're gonna ad break anyway. Actually, I'm gonna take this ad break. I'll be right back, okay? Be right back in a few minutes.
Even more backtracking. You can get the price of $6.99. I mean, why can't I come and then get paid? Grandfather clock appears to be broken. To stop taking it all together. Is this not the one? I mean,
this is amazing. Oh, what up, Salt? Do you go by Salt or Tofu? I've been teeter-tottering. How's your day going? Paint me like one of your French girls. Can I? Promise?
Heyo. Ew. Ew. Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? You rocking it. Show's over. Fuck Diggity 85.
Ready to make shit dead.
blah, blah, nigga. All right, let's go.
Okay, alright. Yeah, right. Hello, there got my face. Crumpets. These are scones.
How many are there?
Well, I'm American. Biscuits!
Frank, I fought him like halfway through, sent him to the loser's bracket, and even I was surprised because like Frank's good. Like fucking Scorpion himself, he just climbed his way out of the nether realm and got his revenge. And it was down to me and him, and I didn't win a single round of that fight. He fucking wiped his ass with me. So if I was there, I would have been second, lol. Oh, talking shit. What game is that? Last Screen Simulator? I'm crying. I guess I shouted out Pokeball or Pokecatch. That's funny. And I heard that. I was like, oh shit. Like, fire thing going on for a second. That scared the shit out of me. Joey.
Oh, 8 down sights? Oh, I know, right? I guess I could technically fake it. Ah, shit! That was a real scream that time. Fuck! I hate you. I hate you. Give me my knife back, bitch.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. Come through. Oh shit!
Claire, run. He's a swell guy. Known him a long time.
I use a voice changer to hide my identity. So he's just like Ghostface. What's your favorite position?
Alpha team is flying around the forest zone, situated in...
Okay.
Oh, Jesus!
Fuck. Damn, bro. You okay, Carlos? Is your oil okay? I like the sound of that. Oh, he's fucked up. He's like bugging right now. I'll cheese the fuck out of you. Don't touch me. Oh, fuck. What? What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. You saw nothing. I meant to do that.
Check the DMs. Sending me. Oh my god, you're wearing the hoodie. That's my lucky hoodie. Overnight. That looks cool.
Rebecca, no!
I have something to show you. Now, walk.
There's only 2 days for retirement.
Without her face. From inside box, scent of mommy. Maybe true mother there. Stone box hard. It hurt. Steel rope in the way. Can't see mother because.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Shit.
Yeah, not only is like half my friends' grammar bad, they also don't use punctuation.
Fixed it.
So I feel
Alright,
like I
cool.
have to read their text like this sometimes. Not naming names. Still would. Oh god.
All the time. I like your shirt. Cool hair, dude, you know?
No!
And then hopefully the next day they're a little bit better.
I wasn't here? No, I was just in there, but I forgot. Oh, yeah. Damn it, Joey. All right. So, not entirely sure. But I just realized that since I leveled up my lightning thing, I could go through that one door. You okay? Oh. Wait a tick. Where did Kaida go? Is this way? East way. Oh, motherfucker. Fucked him up. Yeah, it's this way. Oh my god. Oh, what is this? Oh, snap. Nice. Statue of the West. What about it again? It's an old statue. It looks like someone removed its head. Damn it, no more puzzles. Vision staff. I see the glow of fluorite. Okay. Genbu. Can be the souls of demons. May aid the one. Oh. some way to open it. Oh, I need the head of whatever. Alright, let's keep exploring. Oh, fluorite. Bitch. No more. What was down here? I don't remember. Oh, the dark world again?
Please, do not be afraid. Stay and talk with me for a while.
I got you, buddy.
Have you heard of the Dark Realm?
Yeah, you sent me there like 15 minutes ago.
It's a kind of paradise. It is a place that contains wondrous treasures. Are you interested?
Yeah, but not right now.
Just remember, if you die, do not come back to haunt me. Are you...
Yeah, I don't want to go right now. Yeah. Is that all that's down here? No, I guess so. Dang. I thought there was more. Alright. I'm just being thorough, you know? You have to be. Your wide ass fucking arc. Was in this one? Well, they said east. So is this the right way? It actually might be. Fuck. Oh wait, I think I did level that up. I sure did. The gauntlet has been upgraded. What does that mean, Basil? What does it mean, Basil? And it's all orbs to the max. Here first. Oh yeah, that's where I got like through the fire. This is where I need to go. Pretty sure. I think it's gnarly. Fuck off. Damn it. Do it again. I'm gonna try the east end. Alright, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. I wanna do the east end. Oh. Yogi! I have to say that every time. Think I'm done? I'm not. Get up. Oh shit, just follow up. Bill? Damn. More. Dick.
God damn, that was awesome. I got bullets. Yay! I don't have a gun. I got the statue head. Cool, cool. And then this is that little sword thingy I need, I think. Yeah. Gimme, 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 gimme. Okay, decorated sword. This is the sealed northern gate, the northernmost part of the keep. Even now, it cannot be opened because the sandbags are piled up in front of it. Then move the sandbags. No. Don't do that. I never had them blast me while they died like that before. Let me turn the game up. I think the volume still might be a little low. I could be wrong though, but who knows? Can I enhance anything? I can... Yeah, I'm out of that. I can do bullets and arrows. No, this one. Yuki! Yeah, I was in that room with the blue. Yeah. Ooh. Nice. It's just another trick puzzle. Dang, I kind of suck at these. Oh, it's not. Match lock. Hey, yo! There we go. So now I go... Yeah. Yep. What's the... I'm gonna look it up. What the fuck does fluorite do? Oh, it just unlocks extra shit based on how many I find. How many do I have? 9? Damn, dude. It says there's up to 20 of these. Let me take a peek down here, just to make sure there's no fluorite. Because now I can see it, you know? Maybe some right here for all I know. A little bit.
was worth a check. Yep. Nice. This is how you get like the stupid panda outfit and shit, I think. Ooh. Alright, I got one down here. Guess that was worth it. Fuck you! I should... I can also spend it on. I feel a clue over here. You got that pole? The blicky? Yeah, I got it. Yeah, Sherry. Come here. Come here. If you move away from me, dummy. Did I save? I think so. Saved again. Who cares? What are you playing tonight, your boy? Or are you just chilling? Fucker. Way. Noise. That's the song that they played kind of in the trailer for Silent Hill F. I'll reply to this. Oh shit. Oh, I think I remember playing as Kade over here. Yeah, she's gotta hack that. Maybe I won't finish this tonight. Journal 6. It seems this will be my final journey. Journal. As I am bleeding from my wounds does not seem to end, as the bleeding from my wounds does not seem to end, I am barely managing to write this. For the one who makes it here someday, I offer you this. I have drawn a picture of how to open the gate to the demon world. If you acquire these tools, then you must go beyond the gate. Remember everything you see in that supernatural world and let people know that such a world does indeed exist. Samir! Hey. I didn't mean to scare you. What time is it? Okay. I'll do like another maybe an hour. Nice. What was over here though? Do I need a map or? Over here first. Oh. Oh, could I? Samanosuke, you son of a bitch. Got bullets. I can't read that. It looks like I could. It's got words on it. Maybe it's for Kaede. Okay. Not that bad if I fucking block, idiot. You know what? I hate you guys. I'm gonna take care of this first. Feeling too well. Don't feel too well, Mr. Start. Damn, this place is sprawling. Let me get back in now. Medicine? Fine. Okay, what do these do again? Do they just do my mag? Yeah. Growth. One of the smartest animals on Earth. They sound weird. An insect-like monster flash like lightning across the sky. It flew to the east. There's a watchtower beyond there. Fuck! Okay.
Did I like drop down? I forget. There was a point to this. Did I shoot an arrow with the moon? Is that how I enter the demon world? How do I aim up again? There you go. Take that, moon. Oh, wrong button. Yeah, I guess not. I was trying to remember what that picture was. Is that it? Fine. I feel like I can hop off or something. But no, I guess not. Well, all right, I'll go back down. I need an herb, some medicine. Is most of this game just walking? That's a lot of running. All that weapon and just running. Wait, one guy. Where the fuck have you been? I've been killing things since the beginning of the game. It's funny. Fuck. Fuck. I haven't been seeing a lot of that. You're missing out. Maximum. Nice. That's my last medicine. I don't wanna. Oh, they did say some shit was behind a waterfall. Oh shit. Hang on. Maybe the fire? Yeah. Quick block. Oh boy. Yeah, I've done that. Huh. 1, 2, 3. No. Hold on, this might be a while. I'm trying to get there from the back. Alright, so we got a 9, a 7 and an 8. I think I fucked up. I was watching 4 Lions recently. Again, have you seen it? What's 4 Lions? 2, 3, okay. Oh shit. It's getting closer.
It is a 2010 British black comedy satire directed by Chris Morris that follows a bumbling, incompetent cell of homegrown terrorists living in England. What the fuck? No, I've never heard of it. Is it a show or a movie? Ooh, we got great armor. Hell yeah. Movie's pretty good. It sounds interesting. I definitely check that out. What can be enhanced with the souls from the gauntlet? What can be enhanced with the souls from the gauntlet? That's a good question. Power and energy. Oh, I need more Suzaku. I can tell that's the one. Oh, nice. Medicine! Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. And fluorite, yay. Yeah, I'll go. Yogi! Go to the side door. Oh, I can't. Fine. A great bow. Uh-oh. Oops. Oh. Let's go! Oh shit, Kaede. What's up, girl? What do you see, girl? Oh shit. This is the area where I can unlock it, right? Yep. The Shinobi kit. There is actually another area over here that I never went to. Let me see. Right? Because I think I can't anyway. That's fine. Oh. Use the Shinobi kit. Is this locked then? I'm curious. Oh, what's this?
Kunai. The thing I don't really use. Oh, no, it's unlocked. Fluorite, alright. Herb, hell yeah. Statue of the West. There is a statue of the East and West. Apocalypse 2. Our Demon King was born from the chaos of the Earth's creation and dwells in the deepest and darkest place underground. All demons are born of the Demon King. The Demon King only presents his holy snake-like body when and where the ceremony takes place. No one knows what he does otherwise. Demons remember, no one disobeys the Demon King. The Holy Spirit of the Demon King shall forever set an example for us all. To us all. Alright, that's nice. Can I meet him? I'm a big fan of his work. Nothing in here? Okay. Ooh. Fuck. Oh, I have 2 medicines. That's not so bad. Even though I think I fucked her by not giving her the any of them special healing things, you know? Max health. Yeah, there's all the Samanosuke, the real main character. Even though I'm like a hit away from death, I should just use the medicine. Stupid, stupid, stupid. That's fine. Just quit sucking. Oh, motherfucker. You motherfucker! Damn it. What's in the water over here? Can I get in there? No. Wait. It's a unique stone statue similar to the gauntlet that someone else gave. Oh, okay. Someone don't scared. Doing too well. Yeah. Hey, what'd I miss? Quite a bit. Welcome back, Bloody. No! Oh shit. I didn't want to use that here. Actually, I'm gonna reload. I don't want to use that. I just need to quit sucking. What up, brother?
How you doing, dude? I'm saving that for Samanosuke in the last boss fight. I might too. Not good, not bad, just aight, you know? You know how it is. I already saved, I can't enhance. Lame. Samanosuke! Yeah, this is Kaede. She's my girlfriend. We got all these little Kaede in our life. Look at this bloody eye tattoo over here. Oh. Oh, that was close. Oh shit, that killed him. Oh, those are kind of strong. I didn't realize they were that strong. What are you up to tonight? You playing anything? Or are you just relaxing? Just playing Siege? Nice, how's that going? There you go, you gotta be careful. Nice dub, MVP, can't complain. It's actually been really good. I think we're back. Hell yeah. Does it mean you're gonna start streaming that again? He's so strong because he ate his bowl of... Is that supposed to say Wheaties? Yeah, most likely. I just need to break the rust. Oh, nice. Oh, speaking of which, I picked up some of that like filament filler. I was reading that that's technically better than sanding it down. So I'm actually ready to officially start working on your shit. Sorry, but it'll be worth it. I'm pretty confident in it. Fuck, where do I go? No, Reedies. Oh, I got your gift. Oh, you don't have to get me anything because I'm saying it how I think he would. Early, but it's ready. Oh, you didn't have to do all that. Thank you. In fact, my emo ass wanted to be like, guys, no gifts this year. Because I like giving them, but I'm weird about receiving. There's a joke there. But I appreciate you, bud. Well, too late! Oh, I should have just used my... Fuck. Alright. Pause one more time. I think I just saved too, so it's not that bad. Yes. Can't take it back? No, no worries. You're gonna do all that. I appreciate it. It's so nice of you. Oh, shit. That ass. I know, right? I was even saying earlier, it's like, you know, people will talk a lot about, like, video game waifus here. Dude, nobody talks about Kaede. You got a lot. You got a lot. Give me medicine. Fuck. I'll take an herb. I don't even know if I'm going. Because the map's not, like, filled in, you know? Actually, I think it wants me to go this way, because that's... Oh, actually, I know where to go. There's a ladder. Is that what that is? Trick box? Oh, do I suck at these? No. Baba Booey! I gotta rewatch that. I haven't seen that one in quite some time. Fucked up. Yeah. I'm always like one off. I forget. I believe I have it on DVD or Blu-ray. I have it on I keep wanting to say Voodoo. I have Fandango at Home, which is like what I guess they rebranded as, or they merged or some shit. I don't know. No, I fucked that up. Hold on. Damn it. Yeah, let's just... Because I can get... I need to get this like faster. Yuki! Yeah, so I have to start moving the 2 over sooner. So 1... 2... 3... 4... Oh! No. No. Closer. See, if I could do it like 2 more, I would have it. This is a good puzzle. As I say that to make myself feel better about sucking at it. Yeah. And then... How do I get the 2 right there? See, I'm actually getting close. I keep landing there. So I think this is the move. 1, 2, and then... No. If you fail this math puzzle, does it Bro G dishonor your family? No, it does not Bro G dishonor my family. Also, it's not math. I know what you meant. I just like giving you shit. No, I keep ending here. God damn it. If I could rotate that 2 more times, I would have it. So let me try this. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I fucked that up. Honestly, I think left, because I need that 5 there too. So 1, 2, and then I'm scared to do anything else after this. I could bring the 3 and 4 right there, but I need to get the 2 over. I did it again. Can I rotate the other way? No. Wait, that's actually a good question. Is this like Tetris? Can I dial it left or right? No. What a dumb question. Americans aren't very big on the whole honor thing. What up, Feels Dry? I'll look it up. I don't care. No, not this one. Not the decoder box. I need the trick treasure box. I asked because I think this takes place in Japan or something. You know, common misconception. This actually takes place in Chinatown in Henderson. I think this might be it. Where am I in the map? Wrong button. Oh. Miho! I forgot you guys did that. Black bears are best. False. What are you up to, Feels Dry? You guys still playing 7 Days to Die? No! Don't you do it! I have medicine. Just use the fucking medicine. Hey, you bitch! Where'd he go? Oh shit! Damn, dude. Do it! Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Oh, okay, that is Bears Beats Battlestar Galactica. Michael playing some Forza. Oh, nice. Which one? Yeah, this is The Office. Bears. I never actually saw much of that show. My cousin was really into it, and I saw some with him, and then I think I saw with like an ex, and then that was about it. Suzuku, and this is the one. Defeat the demons. Gauntlet absorbs demon souls, supplying it with power and energy. The power and energy? Is that the puzzle box solution? Oh shit. Yeah, I'm going through the hall. Yeah, I think I have at least one more stream of this left, but I am getting there. How many do I have first? Oh, I have plenty. East way. You're missing out. Oh, The Office. I have another friend who got really into it. Solid. You might see him here rarely, but he shows up every now and then. Fuck. Wait. Locked by a green what? Green ink? Do I have a green key? I need a green key or some shit, don't I? Now I got automatically work when needed. Vision staff. Useless in battle. Whack. I don't know where to go. Actually, yeah, where do I go? Hang on. This is a problem. It. Not fit. Oh, wait. What can it be enhanced? It was sold in something. Right? Is this what it is? Is it power and energy? Oh no, those aren't the symbols here. Oh no, it is power and nope. There's no and. Let me see. I don't think I have what I need to solve this. I think it's this one. Whack. All right. Rah, 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 rah. I'm glad that you're back on Siege. It seems like that's like just your shit, you know? There's no boat. I don't know where to go. This is a goofy ass run. Oh, motherfucker. I hate it. I hate you. You don't have my health, you dick. put the fucking ceremonial arrow? Oh, what the hell is that? That's a freaky emote. Can't go in there. Oh, actually, I might know. Oh, that was close. I don't think I ever went in here, did I? Ah! This. Oh. Damn. Well, if I die, I did just save, so I'm not too upset. I can't go this way because of that. Little wall tumor. Button. Damn it, stop attacking me! You know what? I'm gonna reload and just run for it. That's what I'm gonna do. Yo! Gonna run past everything. Hope for the best. Don't get distracted. Still have the decorated arrow, right? Yeah. I don't know how to get. They're like, oh, the Statue of the East. I forgot how to get there. Maps. Like, I'm assuming, probably incorrectly. Because I can't get through there. It's marked by green ink, so I need the green key. Was that a hand? Oh, nice. How many kunai do I have? 20. Okay. Fuck you. Like a Mickey Mouse sandwich. I would eat that. Wait, actually, I think Is this locked? The statue might be in here. Yuki! Oh no, it's the other side. I like the music. Yeah, she won't be able to enter that door. Yeah, but I might be able to go around. I don't think there's anything special down here. There was just the entrance to the Dark Realm. Oh, okay, I think I'm going the right way. And it might... I forget if it's up here. I think it is. And in here. Please be right. I don't know where else to go if not. This is where all the fire is, right? Yeah, it's not in here. Actually, it might not even be over here. It might be... I think I'm going the wrong way. I think I know where it's at, though. Noted. It's not in here. Nothing beats that where the fuck do I go feeling, you know? Wandering aimlessly? My favorite. Yeah, I think it's over here. Oh! Nope, leave me alone. Is it down here? No. Whack. Oh, that was an accident. Bruh. Nice. Dog, I don't know where the fuck to go. I'm gonna go back in the building. I don't remember any statues though. Or... do I unlock the ceremonial arrow bullshit? Like in the main castle? I can go there. Or is there another... Go in there. What was straight ahead? Hold on. I'm tripping. Oh, yeah. God damn it. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Damn it. I'm gonna reload once I figure out where to go anyway, because I took too much damage just dicking around looking at where to go. Don't touch me, 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 don't touch me. Excuse me. Those are cheeks. Hell yeah. I'll go all the way back. I don't remember where the other statue was, dude. It's not in the mansion, is it? Or castle? I think it's technically a castle. Oh shit. Motherfucker. No, I don't want to use this. That's for Samanosuke. Alright, I'm gonna load it and try again. This is very confusing, though. Dog shit. Nice. That's actually pretty good. So this is where I got it. Where's the Statue of the West? It's got to be all the way through there. Let me try going this way. Right, this way. I just don't remember like where everything is on this map. I want to at least figure this out, and then I'll call it. I can't rest until I know where to go next. Yeah, and then maybe maybe it's this way. I might not be able to. It might still be locked. Let me see. Because there's these antlion things. There's Genma right there. Forward. And then I can't go that way because that's locked. Okay. But and then was that door magic locked over here too? Let me see. It might be. Like if I go straight right, is it like one of those like, oh, I need, yeah, I don't have the fuck. Okay, I can't go that door. Yeah, I can't go this way because I don't have the wind thing still. That's a Samanosuke door. Maybe it's inside the mansion. I keep saying mansion. Nope, I can't even go in there. You. I will not fight you. You guys, though. It's not down here. It's just this homeboy talking about Dark World. Right? Yeah. Can she go? He won't speak to you. You should leave him alone. Oh. No, it wasn't in there, right? And it wasn't that way. I'm gonna look up where the Statue of the West is. Because I think that's where I gotta take that arrow. Floor of the main keep. The west area to find the statue head to activate it. Which I already did. Right?
East area. So it is in the castle. How do I get back in the castle? Haida can't get into the castle. So what the fuck do I do? Right. I have the fucking... It's so frustrating right now. Yeah, I have the decorated arrow. Can't use it. King of the castle, king of the castle. Fuck, dude. Do I have Borat? I would love to watch Borat right now. Is that streaming anywhere? Actually, dude, I might have to stay where I was at. All right. King of the castle, king of the castle. I'm gonna start vocal stimming that now. Dude. Ah! So, it's just something about going downstairs or some shit, right? Dude, if I don't figure it out in like the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna just... that way. Actually, dude, fuck. It's locked. I swear to God, if it's in here. Fuck, dude. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, this isn't even it. Or is it? Yep, yep. It's the shotgun puzzle, basically. Yeah. I knew that. First try. Oh. King of the castle, king of the castle. Shut your bitch ass up. Motherfucker. Anything up here? Got the boat. I got a low res movie playing. Ooh, does it matter which boat I take? Probably. There's a boat here. Will you board it? No. Can I board this one? Oh, I can't anyway. Alright, I thought it was like a puzzle. Like I had to pick the right boat. Kaede! Hey, girl. Samanosuke! Samanosuke, I've seen you kill like 8 of those things in one room. Why are you being a baby now? fuck?
Samanosuke, a monster's coming. Watch out!
Very helpful. Yuki! Oh.
I knew you would come. You are so impressive for a mere human. But you are late. Our dark ceremony is starting. Yumamoru will be sacrificed in front of Princess Yuki.
No!
Princess Yuki cherishes Yumamoru.
Let me out. No.
If he is sacrificed in front of her, her sorrow will peak, making her blood
Get that ass.
strongest. Granting our Lord Nobunaga more power when he drinks.
Like a Power Rangers villain.
That is why you took them? You will suffer for that!
Now, my dear baby, consume that.
A whole lot of ass. Oh shit. Oh. Shit. I clenched a little bit. Nice. Good. Good. Thank you. Shit, not nice. Stop it. Stop. Don't. Wrong button. Ah! That was close. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! That's not good.
Thick. I think she likes it.
Samanosuke! I ignited the gunpowder.
Okay. Nice.
Hurry!
Oh, oh.
Come on!
Excuse me. You look back like I could change her. No, I only have eyes for Kaede right now.
Kaede.
Look over, dog. Don't touch my girlfriend.
Hang on, Kaede.
Back off my Kool-Aid. Ooh, that felt good. Nice. Oh, the movie's over. Fuck. Well, the stream's almost over anyway.
Just here for a while.
Wonder how much of this game I have left.
This nightmare must end. Now! Princess Yuki, Onimaru, I will save you.
Wait, you have any Sorry. 1 second. So unprofessional. Where do I save? First. Okay. It's this door. Right? This one? No, this one. Stupid. Oh. Oh shit. I unplugged it. Exactly what I needed. 2, and then might as well.
Sure. I thought there was a door here. I guess not. How do I... I'll go the long way then. Okay, alright. You know what? I keep doing this, but I just saved. I'm gonna reload it. That was damage I don't need, you know? I think I have everything enhanced too, right? Yep. I knew it. Oh. Fuck. Do I... Okay. I don't have any healing items. I'm a little nervous. What is it really that's going on here? Sorry, the trophy, I don't know if you saw it. It was called When Worlds Collide. It reminds me of the Power Man 5000 song. Buddy out there. Something, something. I don't know. I think of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Oh, get ready to go, Gus. Get ready to go. Oliver! Every time I see him, that's all I think about.
You pathetic human worm. Impressive you've come this far, but ultimately futile since your journey ends here. Only demons can enter.
You. Why don't you go back to playing with your worthless little toys? I have no time for you.
What did you say? How dare you? A mere human mock me? Fine then. It's time for you to fight my greatest creation! Come on, servants!
Oh, God. Oh, that's cool. Oh, he looks awesome. I like this guy.
Come on, servants! Crush.
Bam him. Aw. Oh God, what's he doing now? Oh shit. Damn, bro. Stop it! What is it? Okay, because I'm gonna use it right now. What's Talisman do again? Oh yeah.
Warlords Collide is good, but have you heard Supernova? Yeah. Or Nobody's Real? Yeah. Supernova, you think it's over. Supernova goes... Or some shit like that, right? Yeah, I heard it. And then Nobody's Real. Also, there's a re-recording of Warlords Collide, but it's Die Krup's remix. It's on their official Spotify. I've never heard that one before. I'll have to check it out. God, I'm nervous, man. Because this is the end of the game. I might as well finish it. I was supposed to end stream like half an hour ago. Can I save? I can. Demon World map. Fucking unintuitive controls of all time. Alright. It came out April 29th. Oh, this is recent then. I didn't realize that. I thought this was like an old, like, oh, the 2002 mix. Is it good? You like it? How does it compare to the OG? Wish me luck! Now, Power Man in the big 2.6 is alright. A little more techno than the original. I didn't realize they were still like active. The fuck? Oh, is this gonna keep pooping him out? Yuki! A nuss? I don't know what that means. Just run past him. Maybe I don't have to fight him. It's one of those parts. Nah, it's an anus. Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay, sorry. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's a noose, anus. Oh, okay.
No!
Samusuke!
Help us!
Yuki!
I am Fortune Bra.
Oh shit, do I remember getting stuck here? Yeah, it's kind of metal.
I am the king of demons. Welcome to our little ceremony. Come here, Nobunaga. Drink her blood from the grail of despair.
Said you was a fan of his work and wanted to see him. I did actually. Yuki!
Stop!
That's pretty good.
Even if I die, I will destroy you!
Oh fuck. Oh, fuck, dude. Get up! Fuck. Shit. Okay, well, that's what we're here for. I don't know how to avoid that. I don't think I can shield block that. Get up! Get up! Can I block that? No. No! Fuck. Rip and die! Oh god. What is this? What are you doing? Okay. I don't even know, but I'm gonna heal. Yuki! Okay. That's how you avoid it.
Kaede, let's get out of here.
Samusuke.
I win.
I'm fine.
We cannot stay here any longer. Run!
Am I winning, son?
Yumemaru.
Fuck.
There is no escape from me!
Samusuke!
Forget about me! Go!
You.
Kaede, Yume, Maru.
Ah, nice. Ah. What console does this come out on? This is a PS2 game, dog. In fact, this might be like... I don't think it's launched, but it is a very early PS2 game. an ogre. Get out of my swamp. Oh, damn. Oh, that's pretty metal. I like how this is a mechanic in every Onimusha going forward. We have an Oni mode, or Oni state. Also, Onis are known for using club. Just saying. I like swords, but in this state, I wish they gave me like a club. Just beat a motherfucker with it. That's pretty cool. It's actually a really good cinematic for an early PS2 game. Don't punch the sword, dumbass. All right, what did we learn? Nobunaga Oda. You'll get that when I play the next game. That's how they say it. There's like a demon character. She goes Jubei, Jubei, and then she like gives you the briefing, and she's like Nobunaga Oda. Actually, Onis are known for using clubs. You're making fun of me.
The demon's ambitions were shattered by the hand of Samanosuke and his friends.
Samanosuke. Samanosuke. You don't say the uke.
Died
Do you say Sasuke when you're watching Naruto? No.
Tatsuoki became the Lord. At that time, Oda's army returned to Mio Province.
Welcome back, Angel.
Conquered the Inabayama Castle.
I came back. That fun fact. Nice. You missed the exciting climax of that boss fight.
However, it is unknown as to whether demons were involved.
Nobunaga Oda, who's like, I don't know. I need to look back up. He's just like a dope conqueror, right?
Family, Princess Yuki went to stay with.
He's like always the bad guy in things.
The Baron in Sakai Province. His name, Sokyu Imai.
Sokyu Imai.
However, in less than a month, she would leave.
Yuki!
With Sokyu's blessing, she left in a ship to see the world.
Then she got smallpox.
Advice, Yumemaru accompanied her on this.
Yumemaru. I've been here the entire time, but I was zoned into Supermarket Simulator. How's that? Actually, Onis are known for using clubs. Okay, you're making fun of me. Nice. How's that game? It looks. I think I've seen a little bit of it. It looks like it could be kind of cute and fun.
Employed her as his agent.
There was one that I kind of want to play called Trading Card Shop Simulator. That looks funny because you have to like spray like deodorant onto the guests and stuff.
As for
surprisingly cozy, yeah, it looks like that.
No one knows what happened to him.
No one will know what happened to Samanosuke until Onimusha 3. Yas! I played that too for a bit. Nice. That one looks fun. Like I would actually fuck with that one. Play Bump Simulator. That one looks cool too. I finished it. I didn't. Oh, cutscene. Post credit. And did I unlock anything? I think I got like 15 of them fluorites. I'm scared of Bump Simulator. Samanosuke will return in Avengers Doomsday. All right, playtime. 5 hours and 18 minutes. I got... Fuck, that's not enough fluorite. A lot of souls. A lot of enemies. 15 B? For bullshit! No. If you say this game, Samanosuke special outfit will be available. Ooh. Yeah. Let me load up a new game just to see what it looks like. New game. Special. No. New game. Special. Oh. Normal. I need to get back into it. I started it. Were you streaming it? Yeah, I just want to see the well, the cinematic's cool, but I also really want to see the special outfit I get. Is it the panda? I'm pretty sure you unlock a panda outfit in these. Dude, this is awesome. So that means tomorrow, most likely, we might actually finish fucking Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. But my next solo stream is going to be Onimusha 2. I beat this in 2 streams. Hell yeah. We're back, baby. Yeah, I streamed it like a month ago. Damn, I missed it. I try to catch and lurk your streams when I can. I might not be too chatty, but I'm usually there. I want an Onimusha movie. What's up, Joey? Hey, what up, Urbanog? How you doing, dude? Good morning? I forget what time it is for you. Is it like lunchtime?
Men, fight and die with honor.
You missed it. I just finished it. Bourbon, you're from Russia with Love. Yeah, you're Russian. That's right. Yeah, I know you from Lemon Streams. Yeah, you're a cool dude. 11 a.m. Nice. Yeah, good. This is a nice brunch. I sent you a clip of part of my stream today. I edited it together for comedic effect. I'll check it out after stream. Thank you for reminding me. I've been really slacking on just my Discords. But welcome, Bourbon.
The enemy.
Yeah, this game is pretty dope. I like it. I'm really excited to hop into 2 next time. And then 3, which might be my favorite. And I have a confession. No, I finished 4 when it came out, which was like, what, 2007, 8? But I don't remember it. You know what I mean? Like, that was a lifetime ago. But I remember playing at least 2. And I started 3 when the remaster came out of this. So I played this when it came out, which was like 2018, 2019. And then I think I binged this and then I played 2. And then I think I was like halfway into 3. But I don't think I finished it that time. But we're marathoning now because I'm really stoked for the new one coming out. That's absolutely going to be a day 1 buy. If I PTO, I might take a couple days. Excuse me. Shikamato Sata. Oh, somebody saw Ninja Scroll. And your boy, thank you again for that compliment on the Chappelle painting. I don't know if you read the thing, the description, but I never really thought I was a particularly good painter. I think I relied too much on like drawing and like pastels and stuff like that. And then eventually digital, like Procreate and stuff, to where I think it was becoming a crutch in a way, because I could always just like Control Z and just or undo, you know. And even when I draw, I erase way too much, you know. I just get so stuck in it that I'm trying to learn to just commit. It's better than most people can do. Oh, well, thank you.
I will save Princess Yuki.
Yuki! I'm wondering, dude, I might just, I mean, if it's on sale, we'll see. But, because I have 2, 3, and 4 on PS2, so I might just do real hardware streams of that. Let's see. But, we'll see. There are no mistakes, just happy accidents. We're just going to paint over this. That's fair. That's fair. Alright, let me skip this. I don't care about this letter. Let me just see the costume.
This way, sir.
It is the panda! Nice. I was wondering.
If our princess is at the keep, there are 2 ways.
Wait, are pandas marsupials?
The
Do pandas have pouches?
Or the northern passage.
Kaede, I'll go north.
Look at him. He's happy. Little BB one.
Understand.
Yuki! Tight. Oh, I go this way. Here, let me see that one cutscene. Let me just see how goofy this is in a fucking panda outfit, dude. Does this mean you're the dragon warrior? No, I'm the panda warrior, dude.
Princess Yuki!
Yuki! We just play through it again right now. No, I have to be at the office in like 7 hours. Because Poe in Kung Fu Panda was a Dragon Warrior. Oh, dude, I need to rewatch those. I have only seen the first two. And there's like what, like 4 of those or something? And that was around, dude, that was at least like 10 years ago that I saw those. I gotta rewatch them. I remember liking them.
It's really you.
Skadoosh.
I knew that.
Is that what he says?
Save me.
Yuki. Samanosuke.
I have missed you so much since you left the castle.
We're taking a break, see you in 3 minutes. Damn, that guy doesn't even warn me. Well, let me wait for the break to end. Why are your CRT without amber light? Oh, so I actually had Star Wars on earlier. Let me put something in. Watch Ninja Turtles. Oh shit, that's the controller.
You can, you worthless bug.
I'll put Ninja Turtles on.
Useless.
Also, what's Ambilight mean? Woohoo! I had Star Wars on, and then when I first, this is my second stream of Onimusha. During my first stream, I had Ninja Scroll on just as it felt a little relevant. And over there, oh, it's over now. Oh fuck, it was Blade of the Immortal. Star Wars? Yeah, Star Wars on VHS. Well, and then yeah, because I don't know, I just threw it on. Hero's Journey. Samanosuke.
Wake up, Samanosuke.
Okay. I'll put Mortal Kombat back on. I think it creates like a nice ambience.
With your current power, you are not capable.
And I was gonna wait for the break to end, and then I'll probably raid out. It's late. This is longer than I wanted to stream, but I finished it. So hell yeah. Ambi looks awesome. Are you talking about this? Or the lava lamp? Or behind that TV over there, which is not a CRT. This is a CRT. We just my little retro setup. I got too many consoles here. Put Kung Fu Panda on. I don't have it. Unless it's streaming somewhere. Oh, dude, is that the Gauntlet? That's fucking funny. And then that's my main TV over there. It's a like 70-inch Sony thing. And I have the Govee lights. So whatever's on screen, it tends to. Oh shit.
So, fortune has smiled upon me this day. The power of this gauntlet. I will destroy all of those monsters and save the princess.
Shang Tsung is talking to Goro and Kano right now. TV on wall? Yeah. Oh, it's not on wall. It's not mounted. No. It's on. It's little footsies, but it's got the backlights on that match whatever's on screen. So I do it because, like, I don't know. I think of the contrast and just having lights because I stream at night. I think it looks good. Yuki. Oh, that made me happy. 1 second. That's awesome. Sorry, I got a cool thing. Are you half cat? I am half cat. Shuri. She doesn't like being picked up, but you should see her. Hi, baby. Here, the little thingy right here. Cat. She blends in. Here, laser. It's too dark. She's right there. Lasers on her. Oh, that's funny. If there's like tile here. She doesn't like crossing the tile to get the laser because I guess she loses traction. But there's rug right here, stupid. Come get it. Yeah. I tried. Oh, come here. There she is. Look at her. Look at my little pussy. Look at my cute black furry pussy. I'm wired in, that's why. But hang on. Wanna say hi to chat? Hey, baby. She doesn't really meow. She makes weird noises, but she's so cute. Hi. Alright. She goes, like, quacks and chirps at me. Hello, Shuri. Stop biting. No, she's never bitten me. Meow, I hear. Oh, you hear her? Nice. Yeah, she's like... It's just like little pathetic meows. It's kind of cute. But also, I think she's defective. But like in a good way. It makes her special. She was a stray when Bloody Kotex, one of my friends, he found her in her backyard. And I got her. But she actually has a chipped canine. And then I feel bad, but it looks kind of cute. You know? She's probably meowing because you keep saying Suki and she thinks you're calling her name. Shuri, Suki. Yuki! I don't know. Also, it's weird. Like, I'll be like in a work meeting, like a webcam call. She'll start talking and meowing and stuff, or I can be in chat. It's usually when, you know, I start talking. But the annoying thing is, like, I'll try to get this asshole's attention on my own, and she ignores me. So it's until I'm doing something that she wants to hang out with me. Yeah, let's do this. Oogie. Quit the game. Oh, not load. Just a woman. Well, all right, that's Onimusha, everybody. That's Onimusha. Nice. Raph just lost his sai because he's protecting April O'Neil from the foot. And he goes, damn. And then it goes, da da da. And then it plays the music. And then they go, righteous! I fucking love this movie. Well, now what am I gonna do with my life? Let me uninstall it, I guess. Properties. That's funny. When does Vanilla Ice start playing? He doesn't play until the sequel. Your hairstyle is fun. I like it. Oh, thanks. It's just a mess. It's not really a style. I don't do my hair. At best, I get it wet when I shower and shit, and then it just does whatever it fucking wants. But thank you. I like that. I appreciate that. It's like a lazy afro. But yeah. Your boy, Vanilla Ice doesn't show up until Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. What was that, like 91? 92? Some shit like that. I hate that I know that. And then 3 can suck a fart on my ass. I hate that movie. It's stupid. It's a bad movie. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. Yeah, that song is kind of a banger. I appreciate it. But the movie itself, stinky. All right. Who got Retro Rewind, Video Store Simulator? Oh, actually, I kind of want to play that. Who am I rating? Ideally, somebody who's not like just straight up like a thirst trap streamer. We got Monster Hunter. We got Cardboard Cowboy. He's actually playing something. He's not just chit chatting. He's fun. This guy's funny. Is it default setting for hair? For me, yeah. It's in my DNA. So I'm black and Mexican, and it's just curly. And I'm too lazy to actually like do any hairstyles. So this is just bed hair, really. The only time it looks nice, I would say, is right after I shower, when I get it wet and I condition it and I just let it air dry. But it's like looser curls. You might see me on stream with that sometimes, because depending on the day, I'll shower right before stream. If it's like a gym day. But that's that. What kind of hairstyle do you got? Short hair? But I'm trying to see who to raid. Honestly, if you guys are in for a treat, if I raid Cardboard Cowboy, that dude's funny. Half blood, I guess it's not a bad word. It's not ideal to refer to people as half like that, like half breeds or something. But I don't care. Mixed is a more acceptable way of wording that. Biracial. Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, I know. English is no. You're fine. You're fine. Why not? Well, English is not his first language. He's learning English. And you can say like half something specifically, but half blood. Yeah, I don't know. It's not something to be like. I'm not shaming you or anything like that. I'm just steering you away from people that might take offense to that. I know you don't mean anything bad by it. As far as why not, your boy, it really depends on how it's used. I never heard half blood outside of Harry Potter. I'm like 57 different things apparently. Are you just like different flavors of white? What are you actually? Did you do one of those like 23andMe's? But yes, bourbon. I'm mixed. Or biracial. I think that's also a good way of putting it. It's good to see you in my stream. I think I might have seen you in one of my streams, but this is forever ago because it didn't say first timer. But I was like chatting with you in Lemon's streams. I haven't been able to catch his latest ones, but he's a good dude. And you're a good dude. And you know what, your boy? You're a good dude. And Angel, you still here? You're a good dude. I did Ancestry.com test twice, and they couldn't give me the result. What do you mean they couldn't give you the result? They're like, dude, dog, it's just... I feel like, yeah, it's either 56 or just 1. You can trace your family tree down to, like, just 1. You're a good dude. You're a good dude. Yeah, I imagine I was lurking at once. Yeah. I feel like we've chit-chatted before here. They said, nah, we need a third test. Did you do a third test? My sister did. I don't think it was Ancestry. It might have been Ancestry. And I need to get the results because she's my full sister. I do have a half sister and a half brother, but we were, I was looking at one's TMNT. Yeah. I fucking love this movie. Oh, dude, actually, I have art. Oh, dude, it's happening right now. Oh, dude, hold on. Fucking, hold on. I don't need this. So one of my friends is an actor and artist. His name is Adam Michaels. And he has a online storefront called Adam's Art Box. He also played Casey Jones in a short film that I was involved in, who was inspired by the Casey Jones in this movie. But he ended up giving me this. He made it. And it's from that scene. I fucking love this thing. He's really good. He uses mixed media. So it is a print, but he uses a lot of ink, color pencils. He gets crazy, dude. He'll start using like wine and coffee. Yeah, no, I called the police number, yelled at them, and said, I want to speak to the owner of the company, then gave up. Now I can rate your arts in live. Woo! So, I am working on an art project. It is a big one for me. The problem... Shit. It's on the wall now. So, the problem is... he watches my streams, so I can't do it live because it's supposed to be a surprise. It was a request. He was like, yo, for my birthday, I just want a horror movie, like a famous frame from a horror movie, but painted. So I'm doing that. But there has been a holdup. It's almost a year late. But yeah, it'll get done. Wait. Oh, what up? Hold on. What up, Dry? I like to jerk it to the thought of your sister. I think to myself, she looks just like Joey. She looks just like Joey. Actually, we do look a lot alike. That's funny. Like there was a picture of me and my sister. We were like side by side, and then the only comment was, "Y'all look alike." But it ain't gay because she's a girl. Like Casey just did. Welcome back, Dry. Are you guys still playing 7 Days to Die? I'm gonna plug this. getting ready to raid out, shower, and then go to bed because I have to be at work at the office. No. Fuck. So we got Rin. Do you guys want to watch Mario Sunshine or Replaced? Or Video Store Simulator? Are you have Metris World? Tetris World? Is that what you're asking? Like Tetris? Or is this Mario World? Tetris Word. Oh wait, Metris Word. What's Metris Word? I'm sorry, I read that wrong. No, I switched to Forza, but one more race and I go to bed. Nice. Metris Word? What's Metris Word? And it's not are you, it's do you. Metris Word? Metrics Word. No, we have name mixed Metris. I have no idea what that is. What's Metris? Metric system? Try to play a round of Scrandle. No. What the fuck is Scrandle? Mixed Metis? Mixed Metis. Oh, okay. The term Metis can refer broadly to individuals of mixed indigenous and European ancestry, or specifically to the distinct Metis nation of Canada, who developed their own unique language, culture, and group identity separate from their First Nations and Euro-Canadian forebears. Okay, I didn't know that. My bad. That's cool. I guess Metis is the word. We don't have that. It looks like a Canadian thing. Indigenous and European. That's cool. Scrandle is a browser game where you vote on which food got more votes. Nah. Oh, there's my kitty. Is a term used in neutral. Yeah, no, it sounds like it's pretty politically correct. I've never heard that. Actually, I might have heard it once on stream. Funny enough, I've been like, "What's that?" And then I think Jay, he was like, "Oh, it's this." Yeah. So I'm kind of torn. I haven't rated Cardboard Cowboy, but he's also got 500 viewers right now, and my boy Rin, he's got 16. So we're gonna raid Rin. He's a good dude. He's got a cute little sock puppet avatar. It's like a PNG tuber thing. And he's playing Super Mario Sunshine, a game that I did play. I never finished, but it's really cute and charming. One of these days, I would actually like to do a Mario marathon. I'd like to do the RPGs, but I don't know. I gotta pay my dues and actually play these platformers. I've only played like 1, 3, and World. Those are the only Mario games. Oh, and Land 1 and 2. Yeah, those are the only platformer Mario games that I finished. Other than that, I played a lot of the RPGs. I might actually do a actual hardware Paper Mario stream. I love Paper Mario. But yeah. Let me set that up real quick. Bourbon, it's unfortunate you got here towards the end of my stream. Always a pleasure. Your boy, I love you. And Angel, forehead kiss. Mwah. Love you too. And where's Dry? Is Dry here? Dry? Hawk Tua. Raid Rin XP _ I was 4 years old when I saw this TMNT. Mwah, good night. Aw. I was 0 years old when this movie came out. I was born in 1990, and that's the year this game came out. Movie. In fact, this might have been released before I was born. What's the release date for this movie? TMNT 1990. Release date is March. Yeah, this movie's older than me by 4 months. 89. Oh, you were born in 89? Nice. All right, so I triggered the raid. We're gonna let this populate for a bit. Yep, nice. My big sister was 86, 85, fuck, some shit like that. 86. Yeah. But all right, everybody. I will probably stream tomorrow. It's gonna be a co-op stream with my friend Chaz. So we're probably gonna try to finish. We think we got like at least 2 more streams left of Shaolin Monks, but it's gonna be our Thursday stream. And he's getting a taste for going live and streaming. It's something he's expressed interest in, you know. So I'm trying to get his feet wet. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he'll start streaming on his own too. He's got the setup and he's got a lot of stuff happening in his life that's really cool. Like he just got his own apartment again. You know, it's a long story. His girl's moving down to from California to live with him, and I'm happy for the dude. He's got a lot of good things happening. So let's just give him all that positive energy. Give him the energy, everybody. Or else. But yeah, this is about to raid automatically. Thanks for stream. Thank you for viewing. Thanks, man. Like I said, I'll be around tomorrow at like 8 or 9-ish my time. It really depends. If not, it'll be Onimusha 2. But countdown started. 7, 6, 5, 4. Bye, everybody.